the United States will support the city of Lima as it develops a new passenger train line that's going to connect downtown to the eastern suburbs. The Caltrain rail system in California, as you've heard already, will contribute more than 100 high-quality rail cars and engines. And American companies will provide over 50% of the services for this project and the supplies for this project, from signaling equipment to railroad tracks to engineering and design expertise. When it's finished, this rail line will expand access to reliable, affordable transportation for some 200,000 passengers every single day. It will reduce traffic and congestion. It will give more people more options to get where they need to go faster, more efficiently. It'll help tourists experience more of this truly extraordinary city. It will help workers spend less time getting to and from their jobs. And as you've heard, the trains will also cut greenhouse gas emissions by an estimated 20,000 metric tons every year. That's the equivalent of taking 4,000 cars off the roads.
It's difficult to believe that building infrastructure in other countries is still a priority for the Biden administration. I don't want to seem hard-hearted. I want the people in Lima, Peru to have a train system. But that seems like something they could build on their own. Why must we suffer a lousy train system so that we can pay for Peru to have a good one? Shouldn't we use our money in our country? Over the weekend, Biden gave Ukraine permission to use long-range missiles to destroy property and kill people inside of Russia. I didn't know that Ukraine needed Biden's permission to do this. The point being, this is another example of Biden using our money internationally rather than at home.
As we're working to make sure that Ukraine has what it needs to effectively defend itself, the United States continues to step up. We've obligated just recently and pushed out the door another $8 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. That was in September. Another almost $500 million just a few weeks ago. And President Biden is committed to making sure that every dollar we have at our disposal will be pushed out the door between now and January 20th.
We've spent hundreds of billions of dollars on the war Ukraine started with the Russians. On top of this, the various countries of Europe have also kicked in more than $100 billion. Set aside that we could have better spent this money in the United States, the government has never defined what a win would be or even how our national security is advanced by financing Nazis to fight the Russians on the Eastern Front in German tanks. Russia's response was predictable. You bomb us, there will be retaliation. Which raises concerns that Biden is in the process of starting World War III, which is to say, the kinetic part. It seems like whenever the American spooks want to take someone out, they slander him with a sex charge. This is what they're doing to Matt Gaetz, Trump's nominee for Attorney General. The allegation is that at some point when he was young, Matt Gaetz had sex with an underage girl. Now the spooks are also throwing some spice on the story by claiming in some media outlets that Matt Gaetz paid the girl and that he also took drugs. It's pathetic. Matt Gaetz is very intelligent and he has all of the tools of an effective lawyer. If Trump wants him as the Attorney General, the Senate should abide its own protocols and grant Trump a great deal of deference. The people voted for Trump to be president, and this includes Trump having the people he wants in his cabinet. Morale is a big deal in law enforcement. Mueller was an asshole, but he was more or less predictable. He was the chief prosecutor here in San Francisco before he became the FBI director. The person who replaced him is a very nice man. The problem was that the authoritarians who flocked to prosecution work didn't feel good about the office, and an element of chaos developed. Just about at that same time, a criminal defense lawyer was elected as the county DA. There were many promises of reforming the system, but ultimately it was an experiment that didn't work out. Many of the line prosecutors complained that their hands were tied. Trump is between a rock and a hard place. Gaetz might not be the best man for the job because he does not have a background in law enforcement. However, for the most part, career law enforcement people cannot be trusted. They seem almost always to think of themselves as specially ordained and free from accountability. The big problems arise when they give in to the temptation to conflate themselves and what they want with the interests of justice. This becomes a moral justification for every sort of constitutional and ethical breach, such as lying to a court, framing someone, hiding evidence of innocence, and filing false charges. Balancing these factors, probably Matt Gaetz is the better choice, even if in the short run it disrupts legitimate DOJ priorities.